the Greek side, Skodasante, wanted me. And Malcolm Mackay said, look, Nave, I know it's Greece, it's, a club over there, but go and have a look. But no pressure on my side, do anything. If you don't like it, just come back. You're in my plans as it is. You know what I think about you. Go and see what you think. And at the time, obviously, being on the bench the whole time, knowing that I'm not going to start games, I thought, you know what? And knowing that the previous, knowing that the previous season, I hadn't played for half the season as well. It's like becoming like a whole year now where I've not got goals and games to my name. Not got enough. So people are not going to look back at the stats and see that I played well. They're just looking for goals and games. So I went to Greece, had a look, seen what it was like, and I thought, you know what? I need to get away. I need a different challenge. Let me just go away, go abroad, play in the Super League. I remember Jibril Cissé at Panathinaikos. We had Lamana Lualua and other players at Ajax, what's the Red and Olympiacos. We had some really good players. It's a league for really attacking play. It wasn't really too defensively strong, but it was a good league. And I felt, you know what? Let me just go over there, restart, score some goals, and then let's see what happens. And it was a great experience, to be fair. A lifestyle difference, different times of training. We trained in the afternoon, so you had the whole morning and afternoon to yourself. We trained in like the early evening, while it was getting cooler and stuff. And it was just a nice way of life, nice and relaxed. And it was just a whole year where I didn't even have to buy anything or spend money on anything. So every single part of my wages, I could just leave in the bank. And just like, it's like a year, like sitting there a year, playing football, not needing to spend any of your income, and then just build it up so I can pay things and stuff. So that was good, as well as the fact that I played well, did well, picked up 2 injuries during the time. So I ended up with like 7 goals in like 17 games or 18 starts. And the manager wanted me again for the next season, the next year, because it was like Christmas to Christmas. So it's like halfway through the season to the halfway through the season. But my missus, I think she got a bit, like homesick. It was 1 year away. She's like, let's go back to England now. We've done enough here. Let's just go back and then restart your career again there. And that's what we decided to do. We decided to come back. And at this point, I think I had 6 months left in my Watford career. And I went to Preston. And at this point, I was at Preston. Actually, just to go back a step, when I went to Greece, at this point I had an agent, who was actually in talks with, I think it was Sam Allardyce at the time, and he was saying that he'll be keeping tabs on me, watching me, and if I do well, he'll come to have a look and try and take me. And at this point, I had 6 months left in my. I think I had 6 months left, and. That pre-season, actually, the pre-season which I just had with Malcolm Mackay, was the time where I went to Blackburn with Sam Allardyce. He was there. I trained for a week. Jason Roberts was there. They had Benny McCarthy. They had Gallagher. They had Diouf. They had the 7 strikers at the time. They had Nikolai Kolasinac, not Kolasinac, one of the Croatian player, I can't remember his name now, but they had him as well. They had 7 strikers at the club, but I was there. I trained. I did really well. They wanted to sign me. I did a fitness test. I had a meeting. I had a test to check if everything's okay. I had a medical, and I spoke with the manager. He is asking me why is it you've not done well during this time? I told him. He goes, I wonder if it's mental. Because if it's mental, it's very hard to deal with. It's very hard to take a player who's mentally not there, if you get what I mean. But I said, look, I just wasn't given a chance, blah, blah, blah. I explained what I was telling him about each club and how it went for me and the kind of football and all of that. And he took my word for it. And he was like, look, I want to get you in. And I was like, yes, buzzing, because I'm going to go to the Prem now, back to the Prem. And Jason Roberts is there. Great. I'm going to be playing with Jason again. But he spoke to the chairman and he says, look, the chairman said they got 7 strikers. We can't put an 8th in unless someone goes. You know, we need to get rid of at least 2 or something before they go. And that's when the you know, again, a few weeks went and the window shut, and they didn't get rid of their players at the time. And I ended up not signing for Blackburn. But yeah, it was something that was very close to happening. And it was good that they saw me a week in training and they were like buzzing. They were like, this guy, he's better than Michael Owen. I remember them saying that. There's a time when Keane, what's his name? The assistant manager, Keane, I can't remember his first name. But anyway, he joined, and when he saw me, he was like, he's better than Michael Owen. And this is obviously at the time when Michael Owen was at United at the time. But he was like, this guy's scoring every minute, every time, every shot he takes. I remember the goalkeeper saying, that's the best finish I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't miss a goal. Like, he's scoring every shot he's taking. He's scoring left foot, right foot. And that gave me even more like confidence and more feeling of, yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to sign. I'm going to do really well. And that's why when I went back to Watford at the time, I did do pretty well. Like I said, I wasn't playing every week. But then I fast forward back now, went to Preston, coming back from Greece. And the levels of fitness are nowhere near Premiership, the English League levels. So I had to get myself fit. But at this point, Phil Brown came in at the time when I went on trial. I played one game. Phil Brown watched me and I scored, did really well, done some great little runs. And he said, look, I've seen them runs. Them kind of runs are Premiership runs. When I see that in a player, I'm definitely taking him. So he actually, he took me on at the time. And I was just happy to be getting a chance now to play under another manager. And Phil Brown, to be honest, he was another good manager. And he knew how to handle having like this, the psychology side of things as well. He had a psychologist in, and he believed a lot in that as well, making sure players are at the top in their mind. And it is a big thing. It's a big, big thing that you've got to realise that is a major part of a footballer being successful. And he gave me my confidence back. He says, look, Nate, you're going to be one of my main. He brought in our main players, and he says, you guys are my main player. We were in the relegation zone, by the way, bottom of the league, quite a way away from getting safety. But he says, I think it's like I had 6 of us. He goes, you 6 are my main boys. You guys are my experienced lads. I'm looking to you guys to help everyone else push us forward. You guys play your game how you play. Be free. Do what you do. When he said that to me, it was like shackles off my head again. And I was like, wow. He just says, play. Be you. Do everything you do. And I made, I even put it on YouTube. I got every video, and I throughout my whole career, I always added to this highlight reel. So I got a massive highlight reel of all my goals, all my good play. But again, I did really, really well at Preston. Played really well. Like I remember playing against QPR, and Tarabt was on their side, and I was on the Preston side. And it was an Ellington and Tarabt show on the day. Like we both were playing really well, and you know how good he is with his skills and stuff. And it was one of them games where it was them 2 players there. They're the best players on the pitch. And I remember playing really, really well, scoring the odd few goals because we didn't have a good enough side that meshed together well. It was more, again, like I said, it was more like individuals wanting to do. Some individuals we had were really, really good, but it was like they're tunnel-minded. So they're just thinking about scoring goals, making sure that they do well and look good, because obviously if they get relegated, they need to move on and stuff. So we kind of was fighting that a bit. And we ended up not being able to get out of the trouble. We fought and we won some games, but we didn't get out of trouble in time. And that was me. My career, my contract was up at Watford. I finished at Preston, and that was it. I was sitting there wondering what I'm going to do next, to be honest. And that's where I moved to Ipswich.
Now, this will be the link up with Paul Jewell for the 3rd time. third time in your career. You must have a
Yeah.
kind of a special relationship with Paul Jewell, and the trust that he has in you. Surely that's something that really helped your football and your focus at this time.
Yeah. So funny enough, this is an interesting side to me joining Ipswich, because my agent, sorry, he rang Paul Jewell towards the end of that season when I was at Preston. I was playing well, doing really well. But what happened was, he obviously mentioned my name, and my agent told me, he says, I know Nathan Ellington, I already know what he's about. And they basically didn't want me. So there's me thinking, why doesn't he want me when he knew what I was like at Derby? I played well with him at Derby. I did really well, obviously, at Wigan. I'd killed it when I was with him at both clubs. So why is he now didn't want me? I was thinking, that's a bit weird. But again, I kind of knew that if I'm not doing that much over the last year I was in Greece, he's not going to have heard much about me. Didn't do much in terms of goals to games ratio in that season, the next season before that at Derby. When you're looking at it, it was from Derby days when I really was scoring goals. So it's now 2 years of them being able to look at the newspapers and see Nathan Ellington. So again, I'm thinking, okay, he probably doesn't think I'm, any good anymore, whatever. And end of the season came, and I was wondering what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. And I get a phone call from Paul Jewell. And he says, Nath, I'm obviously down at Ipswich. I want you to come and sign. I want you to come down. Obviously, I'm here up in Cheshire at the time. I'm living in Alderley Edge, and I'm thinking, man, I've got to, where is Ipswich? How far is Ipswich? But you know what? Let's go and see. Let's see what's going on down there. So I went down. He showed me around the stadium, the training ground. Everything's amazing. But this time, his tone was different. So as before, and I signed, he's like, I need you to be my starter. You're going to start. You're going to play. I went to Derby. You'll play. You'll play. This time, it's like, you know me, Nath. The best player will play. The best striker will play. Whoever's playing best will play. I'm like, okay. I understood it was a bit different. And obviously, in my mind, it was, he didn't want me at the end of the season, but now he wants me in pre-season. It's my option. This is my one option I've got. I'm going to take that option, and I believe in myself. I'm going to get myself in. So even if I have to fight for my position, whatever it is, I'm going to fight, and I'm going to become that top player playing there. And obviously going there knowing in my head that he probably tried to get his first choice, whatever choices players, and couldn't get them. And he thought, okay, next best option is Nathan. Let me just get him in. Let him be an option just in case he somehow finds his form and does well. And so he signed me, and I signed there. I moved my whole family to Ipswich, miles away. It's like 5-hour drive down there. And again, pre-season, absolutely on fire. Killed pre-season, done really well. And obviously I'm not in the side because he's got his first team players there. And I just don't play. And started, I think we did have a reserve league then. We weren't doing well. We weren't doing that well. We had mixed results, and then we had like a few losses, and then we had mixed results. And we had Michael Chopra, very good striker, but he really, the manager really just put his trust in Michael Chopra this time. And also Jason Scotland. So he had Jason Scotland, Michael Chopra. He was playing them more than me. But what happened was, I started off, like I said, doing my preseason as normal. But like I said, I had a feeling that I wasn't going to be that first choice. So preseason games, you can see I wasn't playing the majority of them. So I knew I'm not going to be match sharp ready for the start of the season. So anyway, reserve games come. I scored like a hat-trick in 10 minutes on one of them. And this was coinciding at the time where we couldn't win a game to save our lives. We were losing. And Michael Chopra, he wasn't looking after himself at the time. He was overweight. He came back overweight. He wasn't match fit. He wasn't fit to do pre-season. But he got fit enough to play, but he didn't look after himself well enough. for what he is, it's a crime to, they were saying like, it's a crime to be where you're at with your ability. He's got such good ability. If he just applied himself, he'd be obviously firing for fun. But he was struggling. He was struggling on goal drought and stuff, but he stuck with him, didn't bring me in. And he'd play me the one game, and then I'd play well, but then get tired after about 60 minutes. He'd take me out, and then about a whole month would go before he played me another one game. And then I go in and I see him. I said, Gaffer, you know me already. You know how my body is. You know how I am. You've been with me. You know I need a run of games. He goes, I can't give you a run of games. I haven't got time to give you a run of games. I got to have thingies now. I said, but you're giving Chopper a run of games when he's not playing well. He's not applying himself that well. You're making him do extra runs in the morning and afternoon because he's got more fat levels than the level that you said. Why are you giving him more chance than me? But he's like, look, I can't afford to do it. And I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, you know what I'm like. You know what I can do. And I remember like Jimmy Bullard in training saying, Nathan, man, you're playing just like you were playing back in at Wigan. You're playing ball, Nath. You're kicking ball. And I remember we're scoring goals in reserves going, Nath, how is it you're not in the side? When we blatantly need goals and you just scored a hat-trick and you're not in the squad. Like, I can't believe it. Like, you know, when players are not playing, they always have a little chat and say stuff if they think that you should be playing and stuff and should be in the squad. And I just felt like, again, my chances were just never going to be, I was never going to get the chance again. And it was a bit of a nightmare that I didn't get a chance to play with regularly because at this time, Thomas, J. Emmanuel Thomas came from Arsenal as well. He's an absolute beast. He's similar to Jason Roberts in a way, but he's very powerful, left-footed, can bang a ball from anywhere, 50 yards, 100 miles an hour, score a goal. This guy is unbelievable. He would score, he would chip the keeper if they ever came off the line. He had some great ability, and I was thinking, wow, if me and him play up front. So we did play up front for the odd 60 minutes and here and there, and we played well. But then all of a sudden, he'd revert back to putting Chopper back in and stuff. And I was thinking, man, why don't you just give us a game or 2 games to play? Like, and we're playing well. Like, why are you going to keep changing it so early? And it was just one of them things. I said, look, I'm not going to get to the level I need to. Just the fitness levels I need. And it's just one of them things where you know you're going to come off the bench for 20 minutes here, 15 minutes there. I scored like 2 goals maybe during that season because I just didn't play. And again, I could have scored more. I missed a few chances that I should have scored. It might have given me the ability for the manager to give me that extra chance to score another goal from coming on off the bench and scoring. But I never managed to get many goals off the bench, but I was playing well. I played good. I felt good. I was sharp. But again, manager didn't really have me as his main guy this time. I was the guy in the background this time that had to do the extra stuff to get that one opportunity that if you don't take it, you're not going to be playing. And he ended up getting sacked because we're not doing well. Week after week, we could see it coming. Like, week after week, losing, like, somebody was going to get sacked in the end. He gets sacked, and I'm there thinking, okay, whoever this new manager is who comes in, I've got to do something now so I can get my chance to play. And it was Mick McCarthy came in, and he obviously brought in some players of his own, McGoldrick and a few other players and that. And he brought in a few players from Wolves from when he'd been there. And it was just a matter of time before I was on my way out. I had 1 year left. That was the second year that happened. The second year when he ended up leaving. And I had like 6 months left of my career. And of my contract. And I agreed to a pay up. I just said, look, if I can get paid up, I'll just get paid up a certain portion of my contract and I'll just go. So we got paid up and I went back home to Manchester, to Wilmslow. So that was that. That was the end of that time there. And a friend of mine at that point, he said, look, why don't you go down and train at Crewe? Go and just train and stay fit at Crewe. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll go down there. I obviously heard about Dario Gradi and how he brings through like a lot of young players and the good football that they're trying to play all the time. And they always bring through young players to the first team. And I thought, okay, I'll go down there and I'll train. So I went down there and they let me train. I trained and then I played a game in the reserves, under 21s actually. You allowed 3 overage players. So I was one of the overage players. I played up front on my own for the first time. I was like, wow, I wonder what this is going to be like. I'm on my own, like on my own completely. I scored. First game, I scored. We played some great football. Some of the best football I played in my whole career. Ball on the ground, tippy tappy, everything. Like throw-ins, we did the best throw-ins I've ever done. Instead of getting throw-ins and just throwing it down the line and like flicking it on, we had people making different runs, letting it run and letting it smoothing screens and all this. And I was thinking, wow, I'm learning something new now at the end of my career from all these young boys. I ain't learned this at any other club. This is great. Anyway, I think I must have played about 10 games, 10 under 21 games. Every game I scored, every single game. And he goes, you're a goal machine, aren't you? And obviously we're going towards the Johnson's Paint Trophy final. And there's a few games left of the season. And he's like, look, we we'd just like to sign you for the last few games of the season. And just obviously help us out. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Obviously, it's way less, way less money. It's pretty insignificant. But it was like, you know what? I'm enjoying it here. I'm enjoying training. I'm enjoying playing with these young boys. They're showing me stuff, and I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying it. And we had Max Clayton, really, really sharp striker coming up through the team there. He was on fire. And me and him would play in the reserves and the under 21s and both score goal after goal. I remember the coach saying, got like 5 million worth of talent up front there, like me and him playing. It's like, wow. I think we had Pogba's brother, Mateus Pogba. He played up front as well. So he played for Crewe up front. So he's just the same as Pogba, actually. Obviously, they all look the same, don't they? He's a twin. He's one of the twins. And obviously, and Paul looks similar to them both anyway. So they had the same kind of skills, same kind of everything, to be fair. And but just the difference is he was a striker. So yeah, it was nice to be around these guys. It was a fun time. I ended up at the end of that season, we won the Johnson's Paint Trophy. I wasn't in the squad for that because they got all the way to the final, and it was only fair that he kept the same squad to win the final. And end of that season, I had an operation on my meniscus on my knee. No, sorry, I had a groin operation. I had Gilmore's groin at that time. And at the end of that season, I felt I might come back and sign again. But they obviously were making their arrangements for new players coming in and stuff. But they allowed me to train and rehab there. So I rehabbed. I was in great shape. My body was low fat, nothing on me. I remember coming back like even much less weight than I was at the end of that season. And I was feeling real sharp. But at this point, it was about trying to go abroad. So I had a phone call from a player that used to play at QPR. And he said, look, I've got something out in Thailand for you. Come January, make sure you're fit and ready. I'll take you over to Thailand. And so I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. And I was speaking to the missus who were like, yeah, going abroad, Thailand, any of them countries, you might be able to get a good amount of money and obviously continue playing your football as well. So I was just resigned to thinking, you know what, I'm going to go abroad. So I stayed fit at Crewe and played like under 21 games all the time anyway. And then I got offered to sign for Southport. So this is my last club at Southport. The manager called me and says, look, I want to sign you. I'm like, look, man, I want to go to Thailand in January. And I don't know if this will be a good look for my career, like looking like I'm in this league. It's not really going to look good for me going over there. It's going to look like I've really come down from the championship all the way to non-league. So I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but I thought, you know what? He wants to play me. He goes, look, I'll sign you a non-contract. You're not going to have to, if you don't like it, come and play. If you don't like it, just go home and don't come back. And I was like, you know what? I'll come and play. At least I'll be sharp. So then when I finish in January, I'll just go to Thailand. And to be fair, this is a time where I was transitioning, thinking, you know what? I remember he called me, the manager. He called me. He used to be the left back for Liverpool. Again, the name deserts me. The names are deserting me all day long. But basically, he called me one day and says, look, if you want to do all your badges and become a coach here, I want to offer you a position to be a coach as well, player coach. So you can be with me and everything, and then you can push on in your career on that side. And I was like, you know what? That sounds great. I might have to do that. So I was getting ready to start doing that. And I think one point I got injured. I missed about 4 or 5 games at Southport. I did well when I was playing, but I missed about 4 or 5 games. And during that time, we lost them all. And he got sacked. And a new manager came in. He's from Liverpool. I can't remember his name either. So basically, he joined and he realized I was on a non-contract and wanted me to obviously not be involved anymore. So that was me. That same week where I was going to leave anyway, he told me that, that obviously they don't need me to be around anymore, kind of thing. Because obviously I was taking up a bit of the wage bill and they wanted to bring in players to do well. So again, it was like, okay, yeah, let's get Nathan off the bill. But at the same time, it coincided with me going to Thailand anyway. That's where I was going to go. So I ended up leaving there anyway and flying over to Thailand. And Thailand was a bit crazy because I get there. This agent, obviously, he's from there. He's not from there. He's from Holland, but he's there. He brings over players, gets the club's players, and then just obviously helps them train and stuff. So he helped me train. He was training with me. Then he brought me to this club, and they had no manager. There's just like 100, I don't know, about 20, 30 players on trial playing games, and there's no manager. So I was like, what's going on here? So anyway, I came on, scored within about 5 minutes from about 30 yards, scored. And then I came back off after about 15 minutes after that. And then they brought me back on again. I think I scored again. And I was like, yeah, they can at least, the agent said was, obviously, your record. They know where you've been, who you are. They just want to see that you can play, that you're fit, that you've got, you're not injured or anything like that. And they'll sign you straight away. And so actually the manager was there that day, but they didn't even know that we were there at this point. And after that, I was like, look, they can see I can do well. I've scored 2 goals. They can see I can move. I've just done that. And what they're going to do, they're going to sign me now. And there's another game coming up 2 days later. And we found out that the manager got sacked. So the manager got sacked for me coming all the way from England to Thailand, spending my own money, half of my own money. The agents paid the other half. I got there now, played the 1 game, and then the manager's not there. And I'm like, wow, this is madness. This is absolutely madness. And new manager came in from Croatia. And again, what happened? I had a bit of a hamstring strain. I was like, oh no, not at this time. But I still had to try and play because I thought, you know what? I've got no choice. If I say I'm injured, what am I going to do? So I tried to play, couldn't really play too much. But anyway, after the 1 game, the new manager from Croatia, he's like, I've got my players from Croatia that I'm going to be bringing in. So all you trialist guys, you can go. At the time, I'm still in Thailand, and someone else calls from another player. He calls me and says, oh, I've got an opportunity for you. You can go to... Where did I go next? I'm sure I went to Indonesia. I went to Indonesia. But this team in Indonesia playing in Thailand for a game. So I had to go and meet them and go and play with them. So I went and trained with them, played with them in Thailand, in Phuket. And so I flew out to Phuket and met this team. and I did. It's actually the Keane, the manager, the assistant manager who was at Blackburn. He was managing a team from Brunei. It's a team from Brunei that I went to, and so this team from Brunei, I'm there, and I'm playing a game, or I'm watching a game. I think I can't remember what exactly happened. I was in Phuket and I was watching the game, wasn't I? Yeah, and they wanted me to come back to Brunei and play. So I went to Brunei and I played one game, not the best game. It was just like, it was just weird. Everything was weird. The pitch was like loads of grass. I was thinking, this is mad, like it's crazy. But anyway, I got another opportunity to go to another team in Indonesia, and that's where I went over there and I played a game. I played in a great game. I did really well against a team from Malaysia. So I'm playing a team against Malaysia, and then I scored one of my best goals I've ever scored in the last minutes of the game. And then the team from Malaysia, they say they want me to come back on the plane with them to Malaysia. So I'm there going, what's going on here? I've just gone from Brunei to Indonesia to now I'm going to Malaysia. This team called Palembang. I can't remember the exact names of all these places because it's all new to me. But the chairman pays for my ticket. I'm on the plane with all these new players, and we go back to Malaysia. Mad. The funny thing is though, everyone's Muslim, so it's nice that I don't need to obviously have that little barrier there at all or anything. So everyone prays before the match and everything. All the food is okay for me. It's all halal, and so everything seemed great. I was like, wow, I'm gonna sign. I'll probably sign here now. So I'm on my own at this point because my wife and everyone went back to England. They came with me to Thailand the first time, and then they went back home and left me to carry on trying to get this trial sorted out. And so I'm in Malaysia. They put me up in a nice hotel. I'm playing. I played every game, scored. Every game scored. And they're saying, oh, that's an EPL goal, that's an EPL goal, an English Premier League goal. So they're all loving me. And we're training on this burnt pitch, like the sun has burnt all the grass and the pitch is just totally burnt. And anyway, the training is not the best, but we're playing, and the attitude of the management is mad. Like they play a game at like 10 o'clock. The game would finish at nearly 12 o'clock. They finish, they get home by 1, 2 o'clock, and they have to be in at 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning. And I'm like, wow, they just played a match, like 90 minutes. They're knackered. What are they doing up at 7 in the morning? Training, like training, full training, not like warm down, full training, running and everything. I'm like, you're gonna get injured, guys. This is not football. Like everyone was knackered. Everyone's like, this is what we have to do. And the manager's like, obviously the translation from the guy, whoever he is, and then the translation, they're saying, they're weak. They're weak. If they get injured, they're weak. And I'm like, wow, this is madness. But anyway, I'm tired because I've just played a 90-minute game and he wants me training. I'm like, I can't train. I'm not training. I'm resting today and I'll train tomorrow. I can't do this. I'll pick up injuries. What's the point in this? And anyway, it's like a difference of the way they think. But I ended up doing the training anyway. I was just trying to let them know, look, this is not the way we do things in England. Like, you don't play and train and do crazy running after a match. Like, it's too much for your body. You'll get injuries everywhere. But in the end, I was there for like 3 weeks playing. But their window was open to bring players in. So what happens is people from like Brazil, people from Africa, they just knock on the door and trial. They'll just knock on the door out of nowhere and come and play games, and they'll take one of them players who's like really skillful, who does something. That's how they get their players. So anyone who really wants to play out in them countries, just go over there and just knock on the door and you'll actually get a trial. But what happens? So they're looking for a Brazilian with like great ability. I think they brought in a player who was a Brazilian, but he was no good, didn't score no goals. And they were like ridiculing him, saying, this guy, we need to get another striker in, and you're the guy, Nate. And I was there for 3 weeks. Then they wanted to put me in a apartment with a couple of these players. When I went and seen their house, their apartment, clothes everywhere, dirty plates, dirty everything, cockroaches sitting around. I'm like, I'm not going in here. I can't go in here. You mad? Like, you've got to sort me out with an apartment of my own or something. I can't live like this. This is not me. Like, I got family as well. They're going to come over. I'm not going to live like this. No chance. So I had to just basically go back to the hotel and pay myself for the hotel room because I was not going to stay in the thing for them. But then I thought, you know what? They said to me, like, look, the window's still open, so we got to wait to see what comes through the door for the next few weeks. And at the moment, you're the good candidate. You scored all the time, every game. You obviously got way better ability than the other strikers, but we have to wait and see what happens. And I'm like, I'm going home. So I just went home. I went back home, and I said, I'm not having it no more, because I was told, like, look, just don't have it, because you're a player who's been Premiership and everything. And now you're there, reduced to the level of, you know, all these players who've never played anywhere, just coming in for trials. You got to be dealt with a bit better than that. So I was just thought, you know what, it's time to go home. I can't stay here any longer. I've shown everything I've got. If they don't think that's enough, there's something wrong. So I went home, and then I got ready again. I was training, and I got ready to go to Thailand one more time. This is where it's the last move of my whole career. This is the ending part, really. So I was working hard. Then I got another ticket out through the same agent, Thailand, who was there. He said, I got this club. And my ex-teammate from West Brom, he was also at the club. Shelton Martis, he was a centre-back, left-back. So he was telling me how it is. He's there. It's okay and stuff. And he said to me, yeah, just come down. It should be all right. So the agent says, yeah, we go down. I train one day in this stadium thing where we train to get ready for the training. I went to the training first day, training with the team. And after at the end of that day of training, manager gets sacked. I'm like, this is just madness. How is this going to happen? Manager gets sacked on the first day, me coming in to train to then sign. So I'm like, this is crazy. But anyway, the agent says, listen, I'm in there with the chairman, the owners of the club. So whoever comes in, you're going to come in anyway. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. You just got to wait a few days now for the new guy to come in, and then we'll get you signed. But this coincided with my missus calling me about 2 days later saying, I'm not well, not feeling well. I can't handle looking after these kids right now. You got to come back. So I was like, please, surely I'm just about to get this deal done. Let me do it. Can you handle it for a little bit longer? And then I'll come back. Oh, you can come over here and we can get things sorted. And so basically, I had to end up coming back. And then I never went back. I had to leave 2 days after getting there and come back and look after everyone at home. And to be fair, she wasn't well for quite a little while. So I ended up not being able to train and stay fit because I had to do all my duties at home. And then it got to like 6 months down the line, and I'm like, listen, I can't play no more. I'm not even match fit anymore. I'm not fit. I've not played for years now. I got to call it a day. I'm just going to call it a day and just see what I'm going to be able to do from here on. So that's where my career came to an end. It all stopped there. So it's crazy.
Man, it seems like as a player, you didn't really get that closure where a lot of players retire, whether it be due to injury, due to not having opportunity. Yours is obviously due to something away from football. So how did you handle that? And how did you deal with that mentally and handle that transition from, like you said, being a footballer, having routine, having structure, to then having none of the involvement in the game?
It was tough. It was tough, to be fair. It was just figuring out what to do next. But my mind has always been something like, whatever I'm do next, I've got to find it and go hard at it and become a success at it, whatever it is. Just like I did with football, I've got to go and do that again. And it was just a thing where I just tried multiple different things, different businesses, different online businesses. Just I tried to do a load of things. They paid, I ended up being somewhat successful, but in the end, it would just be like, okay, I got to find something else. And I just had a little bit of money left over, and that was me. I was like, I need to make something work in the next year or two. And that's when obviously I started putting things in place for all the different things I was doing. What I've obviously been able to build up now throughout the time. So it was a major transition, a lot of trial and error, a lot of failing, a lot of working hard with no results at the end. That's life, isn't it? It's like someone who's not got any experience in anything other than football, when you're finished and you just got to go straight forward into something else without no guidance of what to do next, what do you do? Everyone goes and tries to find something what they're comfortable with. And I just thought, you know what, I'll have to try and, do as many things as possible. And then whichever one comes off, or whichever few comes off, that's where I'll go and that's where I'll head towards. So it was just like 5 years of total, I guess the last is 5 years of just everything, of doing anything and everything, trying to find a way to sustain a lifestyle for my family. So it was tough. It was really tough.
Where are you at now? What you're sort of what's maintaining your time, and how are you sort of able to function and generating the income you need to live?
So basically, I started up a football academy. So we have a football academy now, called Pre-Pro Academy. It's up in Blackburn, and I started out with a friend of mine who is an ex-football player. I used to started his career at Man United, a Pakistani international actually. He ended up not making it. It was in the same year class as Darren Fletcher, them years when he was coming through. But he ended up playing like kind of in Hungary and playing for Huddersfield and stuff. His name's Adnan Ahmed. So me and him got a good bond and good friendship going. And we actually was looking after a couple of players. A few parents has asked us to do some extra training with their kids. And we just loved it. And then 2 turned into 4, and then turned into like 6, 8, 10. And we was like, let's make something of this. So we started building the academy side of things. Now, anyone who knows academies know that it's not easy to make any kind of sustainable living from it. So that's just something that was on the side that we've been building, and we've built nicely now. It's getting there now to a stage where it's now starting to take some real form and real shape. So that was something in the back burner, moving on the side. Then I also did a few different investments as well, that did okay. Some did okay, some didn't. And then what I've done in between that is, through a lot of trial and error, about 3 years ago, I came across the Forex industry. So the foreign exchange, markets where you trade different currencies and stuff. And I realized that obviously it's the biggest market in the world, like 5.3 trillion a day is generated and, changing hands on a daily basis. So I realized, like, look, if I'm going to do something and I want to get back to that kind of lifestyle, I've got to delve into an industry which kind of generates that kind of money and become good at it. So the last 3 years, I've really been working hard to try and become a professional at that. Obviously self-taught, learning myself, and different programs online, different online companies, education companies that I've been learning through. And basically, I've got to a stage now where I'm setting up my own business when it comes to the trading side, and providing services for people now. So that sustains a certain portion of my income as well. And then we've also, off the back of the academy side, we started looking after the players that we've been helping train as well. So some of them that we've seen that they've got the ability to go pro, we actually decided, me and Adnan, we decided we're going to become an agency as well. So we're going to represent players. So we're now representing players. That's in its early stages. We've got a few players that are really good. We had our first player go pro as well. His name's Serhat Tazdemir. He's at Peterborough now. So he's a real good talent that we think will go quite far. And we've got a few other players. One of note is Ty Sinclair. Tyree Sinclair. He's son of Frank Sinclair, who we work closely with as well. So he's really another one to look for coming forward now as well. But we've got a few other players who are obviously in the pipeline in the youth teams and stuff that we want to help push on and mentor them and help them with our experience that we've had to push them forward in the right career path for themselves. And through our experience, I think we can give the right advice to them to help them get where they need to be in the right mental shape, the right physical shape, and push them on to where they need to be. So I've got like 3 things moving at the same time, and they're all building nicely. And it's not at the stage where I want to be yet, because obviously I want to be back to the levels of before, where it's nice to not have to think about money. For me, money is not everything, but to not have to think about it in your daily life, that's great. Where you can go and buy what you need to buy, pay for what you need to pay, travel on holiday, take the kids somewhere, and do whatever you need to do, and not have to think, how much have I got in my pocket? That's where I want to be back to. I'm not quite there yet, but again, I'm working, and I've been working tirelessly to get to them levels. And again, like with the Forex side of things, that's something where you have to become a professional. It's just like becoming a doctor. You got to go through all of that work to get to become a doctor. You want to be a pilot, you have to get through all of that. You can't just jump in a plane and think you can fly, you'll crash. Same with the Forex industry. I've been learning and learning. I've been failing and failing and failing. But now, after all the hard work and failing, where most people will quit, I've continued and persevered. Same like when I was playing football. You don't see all of that hard work, the results of it, till the last minute on that one day where you get that contract and you sign. So all that hard work, people say, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it. But you're working towards that one call and that one contract that makes you go pro. Same here. My mindset was always, I'm working towards becoming a pro at this new industry. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at now. So it's all about perseverance, not caring what anyone says, tunnel vision. Your mindset is all about getting to what you put your mind out to do. And that's been my motto. And I think I took that from my football days into whatever I do now. If I got a passion for it, I live and breathe it until I make it a success.
What advice would you give to younger you? You could talk to yourself at age 18 and 19 with the knowledge and life experiences you've had now, with the way your thought process has changed over the years. What information would you tell yourself? What info would you say to yourself at this point in time?
What I would say is diversify your investments while you're playing. Make investments, smart investments while you're playing from day one. Have somebody that's going to help you do that. Because if you don't, end of your career, you're not thinking about it. Soon as your career ends, you start thinking about it. It's too late. You've got to think about it from early. What are you doing off the field? Because you've got a lot of time as a football player to have whatever else going. You've got to diversify your income, what everyone says. You've got to diversify. But at the same time, you still got to concentrate 100% on your game, because that's your main game. At the same time, you've got to have something in place. I decided to buy properties throughout my career, and I felt I was doing okay until the market crashed and all of my properties pretty much went down the drain. And that's what left me in the situation of a bit of difficulty at the end of my career. But like I said, if I was to have that all again, it wouldn't be all in property. It would have been something else, which I would have been able to research my own and actually maybe put a bit here and a bit there. So then if something fails, there's always something else going. In terms of the football side of things, I think I would make decisions based on business decisions, footballing decisions, not down to your thinking and your emotions. That's one thing, definitely. And I would now be able to tell myself again, understand who you're playing for, do your research on the clubs you're going to play for, on the type of football they play, how they run things on a day-to-day basis. What's your manager like? You know, ask people about your manager. They're the main things that I think that are the major things that I would been able to change to make it a better career. I feel I still had a great career for the most part, but I would have had an even better career if these things were in place a bit better.
You've played against some great players, played with some fantastic players in your career. Is there one similar personality trait that you would say a majority of players share? Is there one attribute that you can put down to a player, to a player achieving his dream and becoming a professional? Is there one common attribute that you think the majority of the players share?
I think the common attribute would have to be self-belief and that confidence, just below arrogance, that you have to have. You have to have that confidence and that feeling that you can do what it is. And I think that's where all the successful players, they have that inside them. They have that inner belief that they can do what they want to do. And I think that's what it is. I think without that, you're finished. If you don't have that, even if you're a good player, you're finished. We've seen it happen time and time again with lots of players whose their confidence, not only their confidence goes down, but their belief in themselves goes down, and then they're no use to anyone. You know, they're quarter of a player that they used to be. It's funny, some names of players ring a bell, like players that we all thought were amazing. Torres, how good was he at Liverpool? And all of a sudden, he's quarter the player at Chelsea. How did that happen? I know he got an injury, but how did he get that so much less than he was at Liverpool? Mm-hmm. Then you got Shevchenko, who was on fire. Then all of a sudden, no longer Shevchenko anymore. You've got so many players like that you think, is it a mental thing that got hold of them and something to stop them being them? Even, I don't know if Alexis Sanchez, even it happened to him just lately from joining United. He was doing really well. Then all of a sudden, he's no longer the same. But it takes time to now get back. Here's one player that I can tell you it definitely happened to, and he's come out of it the other end. Fred, he signed for Man United. He's a good player. Man City wanted him. Pep is not going to want him. He's not going to be looking at him thinking he could come into my side if he wasn't any good. I could see the ability in him. He comes and Mourinho totally destroys him. He's not playing. He has that feeling of he's not playing, he's not match fit, and his confidence is low. Then the team gets so many injuries that he has to play. So now he plays through that period where he's giving the ball away all the time. His fitness level is getting better. His passing, decision-making is not the best. And now look, after all these games, he's now got a run of games. He's now starting to get his confidence. Everyone's starting to talk good about him. He's now looking like that Man City player that everyone was talking about. I always had faith in him, and I knew, man, it's hurt him. Here's another player that possibly, I'm not sure if he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough to be a Man United starter all the time. But here's a player that I thought that would do better than he has done. But he did take a massive hit, and I'm not sure he's been able to come back from that mentally yet, but he's getting there. Pereira. I'm not sure he's that good a player, but what I saw in him the pre-season, he scored a great free kick against Liverpool in pre-season in America the year before. He showed some really good stuff in reserve team and stuff. And used to come on, everyone used to have this kind of belief that he will be something really good. But then he got brought into Man United the season, and then he made that one mistake against Leicester. And then the manager took him off. You know what that does to your confidence? That there hurt him for such a long time. He had no confidence in keeping that ball ever again in the midfield as a deep midfielder. One mistake, take him out, don't play again. His confidence is shot. And that's what happened to him. And it's taken him a long time to now get, even the way he feels now, I think he's feeling a lot better, but he's not still himself yet. And I don't think we've seen the real him. I think he still has a bit more. I don't know how much more. I hope that he has a lot more. But again, he's had a long time to get back to the levels. Solskjaer's given him a big chance, a lot of games. And I think maybe next season we might see the real result of who he really is, whether he's good enough or not good enough. I think that's my time to judge him, where a lot of people have already judged him, like because they don't know what it takes to overcome them kind of hurdles in your career as a person. So for me, that's the way I see it, in a different way.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Paul Pogba. I know you've had the pleasure of playing with his brother. As a Manchester United fan as well, I guess your take on the Pogba situation is going to be slightly different. I'd like to hear your views on Paul Pogba as a Man United fan.
So Paul Pogba, for me, is an amazing talent. He's someone who I believe is one of the best midfielders, up there with the De Bruynes of this world. The problem is he joined a team where he's not in a good team. He's not in a team that's settled and that's really good. And everyone's expecting him to do miracles, like he's some kind of madman who can just like stop everything, pick up the ball, run like Yaya Toure and score every week. He's not that kind of player. He's a player that's a team elite. So he makes a great team elite, I think. It's when the pressures, like right now, what happened, I think, throughout the last season where we kind of lost some of our best players and we were struggling with established players, he was the only one that could do anything. So teams just stopped him. Teams that double teamed him, stopped him. And once you stop just him, you stop Man United, because the team was lopsided. We didn't have no balance on the right, no balance anywhere. So it was easy to blame Pogba, even though majority of his games he still played well, still scored goals, still had the top of the stats in pretty much every area for United. I see he's a great player. Right now, what I see is he's had the odd few games where, like I said, he's tried to do too much because the onus is on him to do that more. But he knows he really can't. So he's got to find that middle level, which is very difficult when you've not got a balanced team to go and kill it. So for me, now that Bruno's come in, you're going to see Pogba even better. Pogba is going to be unbelievable now. Reason why is because now you don't have to just stop Pogba. These teams now, they've got to stop Bruno. They've got to stop Rashford. And even James, who's come in, he's not quite at the level of the Premiership level, but because he's so quick and he's got to keep you honest. So now someone's got to be occupied with James. Someone's got to be occupied with Martial. Someone's got to be occupied with Rashford and Bruno and Pogba. So now you've got so many people, and this is where Pogba flourishes more than ever. I think you're going to see an even better Pogba than when he first came, and people are going to be talking about, if he does play with us throughout next season and he gets to play the whole season, you're going to see a Pogba who's possibly going to be player of the season. You're possibly going to be up there with the same, everyone's going to be talking about him like they talk about De Bruyne at City. Because City are a great team. They play great football, and De Bruyne is in that team. Same with now, Pogba, he's going to be in a team where I think we've got the balance. And if we bring Sancho as well, it's over. I think we're ready to challenge. If we bring Sancho in and we got all them players in, Fred, Fernandes, and Pogba, that's probably the best free midfield in the league. I can't see a team better than that free in the league. And obviously, it's a bit of a bold statement, but they've not done it yet. But potentially, I can't see a team more potent and more stronger than that free in the league at all. So for me, I think an overall picture of Pogba is he does much better in a team that's very good, where the onus is not all on him, where he kind of is like the guy who you're not really thinking about, and then he goes and scores a goal and sets someone up, where you have to then focus on the other boys. That's when he really comes good. And he's going to show it. I have no doubt he's going to show it. And one of the things that I love doing is talking about players. I've done this. I do this every day. I speak to a lot of people about players. And start of the season, I was mentioning Greenwood, Mason Greenwood. And what's funny is we brought a youngster down to Man United under 16s, under 17s game to play Man United. He was at Blackburn at the time. And the one player that stuck out 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, was Mason Greenwood. Was like, who's this boy? He looks just like Van Persie. He moves just like Van Persie. This guy is one player who stands out in this team. So we spoke to his dad and we tried to speak to him about obviously coming down and training with us with our little system that we've got set up. He didn't end up coming. It was a thing that we identified this player and this great talent 2 years ago, which obviously Man United already had. But at the time, he felt his chances of getting into the team are going to be very limited if Mourinho was there. That's what they were thinking. And obviously, it's a thing where we know with Mourinho, he's not really a guy to bring through the youth players. But obviously, one thing led to another. He's now in the team. And at the start of this season, I mentioned, I put on my Instagram, watch out for Greenwood. He's my player this season who's going to have a breakthrough season and absolutely be on fire. And he's gone and done it. So against everyone else, a lot of people that I spoke to, they didn't think that he had enough or he's not proven anything and he might be the next Makeda. I said, no, this guy is not the next Makeda. I've seen him in the flesh. I've seen him a long time ago. This guy has got everything. He can do what he's doing in the Prem. Because I watched the other games when he's playing in the under-21s and stuff and under-18s and stuff. And I could see the kind of football, the way he was touching the ball, the way he was dropping shoulders, the way he was scoring goals are goals that you can score against anyone. No matter how strong, fast, anything, he's got that. So he was one I definitely earmarked for being up there to make it through to the Man United first team.
One player that's been on season is Jack Grealish. There's been a lot of speculation whether he will or won't be leaving and potentially Man United as a destination. Would you like to see him in the Man United shirt? Do you think he'll add a bit of class and quality to the team?
Yeah, I think Grealish is obviously a top player. He's come through this season with a team like Villa as well, who have also just come up, and he's obviously held his own and showed what he can do. He showed that he'd fit really well into any of these top teams. The only issue I've got is if Pogba's still there, Bruno's still there, he's not going to play in the central attacking midfielding position. He's not going to play in front of Rashford. He doesn't really play on the right. So where would he fit? Unless Pogba was to go, that's when he may come in, and I'd see it being a proper fit then. But if Pogba doesn't go, I don't see that move happening. I don't see the point in bringing in someone in the position we already have of such a good level as well. We got two of them. We got Bruno and Pogba at this moment in time that are in them positions, and then you got Mata who's behind. They play in them same positions. So when I look at it, I think it'd be a great addition to the side if Pogba were to go, and he got his way. Obviously, he wanted to go, and he ends up leaving. But if he doesn't, I don't see that move really happening. I think they'd focus their attention on the right midfield, something like, or an out-and-out defensive midfielder who's going to, kind of mix it with the others like McTominay and Fred and stuff like that.
Real frustrating to football fans worldwide at the moment. No football, everything's locked down. We're anticipating what's going to happen. Are there going to be changes to the rules? Are there going to be fixtures played, replayed? What are your thoughts on the whole situation as it stands with football lockdown?
It's a bit of a weird one because you can't see the players coming back now and finishing off the season. It's gone too long now. I think players are not going to be up to them levels of fitness. So you're going to probably see like a pre-season feel if they're coming back now and they're playing games. It's not going to be of the same intensity, or players are going to get injured. So that's one thing. Do you then give them a few weeks to get fully fit and then finish off the season? And then how do you start the next season? So it's a puzzling one at the moment for how you continue. But then also it's a puzzling one for how you end the season now. Do you give Liverpool the championship, or is that fair? Because then do you relegate teams who have not yet finished off their seasons? The people are going to lose money for not coming up. You're going to give the championship to someone who hasn't won the league mathematically yet. So it's still possible for all these things to happen. It's not, I don't think it's fair. Whatever you do, it's going to be unfair. So I guess for me, if I was thinking from my side, I would look at it as try and get them games finished somehow by getting a few weeks in of training and then getting some behind closed doors games or something, just to complete the season and see what would have happened. And then you may have to start your season a bit later and finish a little bit later, and maybe bring the pre-season, the off-season a bit tighter in the next year, just to like compensate for what we've lost, or the next year and the next year following. You've got to kind of move it forward a little bit just to compensate for what's happened. I can't see anything else, to be honest. It doesn't make sense, because even if every country has to do the same, because you've got European Cup, you've got everyone's in the Champions League, for example. If one league's not playing and then another league is playing, how are they going to play each other? They're not. So there's all these things that have to all come back at the same time for it to get completed. And it's either all got to come back, or there's nothing else. You've got to complete the season for me. Somehow you've got to complete it somehow, and then start the next season later. That's the only thing I can see. But you never know. There's other options out there that I've not thought of, and that's what they're there for, isn't it? So for me, I'm just waiting to see how it pans out and what happens once we can get back to normality.
Interesting thing as well is the transfer window opens up before the season ends. Now, if you're playing for a team and you're not in the side, would you be restricting someone's trade or movement if they're not allowed to move clubs? Because if you've got a planned move ahead and for whatever reason that's your destination, now with the transfer rulings not being able to happen, would you effectively have players that don't want to be in teams and that alike, players not willing to put it all on the line to risk injury if they've got a move to club B already in the back of their mind? It's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's what I mean. There's so many things now to think about and think how you're going to reconcile it all. It looks very. It's like it's going to be a big mess. Even players at the end of their contract, are they really going to be at the end of their contract till the season's over? Are they going to make a rule that all the laws, all the dates that finish at this date actually get extended to the end of the season date, the new dates that they make? They may have to do that because it just wouldn't make sense. Players will be moving clubs and they won't be able to play because they'll have to finish off the season, which they wouldn't have been able to move in the first place because they'll be they'll be obviously cup tied and all of that, and they won't be able to play games. So they'd have to finish off their season, definitely, and they'd have to maybe extend it for this time period that they've got to extend it for. Otherwise, it just wouldn't make any sense.
Interesting, very interesting. We await further news to see how things are going to play out. Obviously, I know it's probably not the most important thing, but for football fans and for people who love the game, not having that football and that structure has been a big, big blow, big loss.
Yes, well, in football, we're all here trying to stay fit. Even you see them all on YouTube, trying to stay fit as fit as possible. I guess they're treating it now like it's off season, and we all want to see football back. But we obviously want to see football back when everyone's safe as well. We don't want to see it come back and then have to stop again for even longer. So I think it's important that they get this one right and make sure, the possibility is very low or non-existent before we do come back. And at least it allows everyone to then come back and actually stay back and hopefully have something in place to make sure every team is able to go back to being a club again, because a lot of teams, they're in danger of, going out of business as well. So that's got to be something that's got to be looked at as well, where some money's got to be shared out through TV money and stuff like that. And somehow these other teams have got to get some kind of help to make sure they stay afloat and everyone gets paid and we get back to normality again. Like if you're playing behind closed doors, their bread and butter is the gates to be able to pay their players. There's no gates. There's no gates. What are they going to do? There's no income. So
must be a real worrying time for teams in the lower tier divisions, because like you said, if your club is reliant on that gate money to pay wages, to pay running costs, for expenditure, without having them people at the games, how do these clubs survive? How do they How do they pay their staff? How do they in turn pay their players who have to pay mortgages? It's a tough situation for these clubs to be in.
Fair, there isn't any way that I can think of that they're going to be able to find it. The only way they can do it is rely on handouts from, either the government or the FA, PFA. Someone like that has got to step in now and then help these clubs, because again, if you're playing behind closed doors, no income, you've missed out on so many months already now. A few months that we've been sitting here not playing. Again, that's another few months of no income, and still having expenditures to go out. So it definitely got to rely on some help from someone, and there's got to be a plan for all of these clubs to get some kind of help. Otherwise, they're in real danger of going out of business.
Really enjoyed spending some time with you chatting about your career. It's quite a fascinating journey, as I said, because from the outside in, when you look at someone's career and you read the articles, you only get to hear so much. So to hear everything behind it and the reason for your moves and stuff, I really found it quite fascinating. I really thank you for sharing your story with me.
Oh, thanks for obviously getting the interview with me as well. And obviously it's always nice to say exactly how things really went. And it's always, I guess it's interesting to hear the story of what happens behind the scenes. So thanks for giving the time as well. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I look forward to catching you up again real soon, and thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Have a nice day. All right. Thanks.